They open sourced the mini Shai-Hulud worm and teamed up to give away 1,000 USD to whoever carries out the largest supply chain attack. Apple has finally decided to play nice with new rules around security bug qualifications. This is an exciting episode for me because we get to talk about something I love, software supply chain attacks and the software ecosystem. I'm Allie Diamond, and this is your weekly cybersecurity news roundup, ThreatWire. NPM, oh NPM, what are we gonna do with NPM? The software package management ecosystem is in shambles. We are going to talk about Shai-Hulud and the situation that's happening, but we also first need to talk about Bun. If you don't know what Bun is, it is a JavaScript runtime, package manager, and test runner. Bun was originally written in Zig, but last week, Jared Sumner, the creator of Bun, made probably one of the largest PRs in GitHub history, where he rewrote a majority of Bun in Rust. The PR was over 1 million changes. Literally, I'm not kidding. It had over 1 million changes, all tests passing. Bun was acquired by Anthropic at the end of 2025, so it was most likely done with the help of Claude Code, and it was merged. Immediately, people were finding issues with the Rust code push to production. Personally, if I did this at my full-time job as a software engineer, taking the entire project, rewriting it in another language, and attempting to merge it into production, I know HR would get involved so fast. Pip? Fired? Who knows? But Bun is clearly built different. I need to know, does anyone here work at a company using Bun? What did you think when you saw this happening in real time? I need to know your thoughts in the comments. At the same time, if you did not hear about this, Ruby Gems was also getting attacked. Ruby Gems is the standard package manager for the Ruby programming language. During the week of May 12th, Ruby Gems was hit with a spam publishing attack. A coordinated bot attack started to rapid-fire publish new packages to the registry. During the time of the attack, the bad actors published over 500 new malicious packages. They identified the attack as a DDoS attack and had to disable registration of new accounts on the Ruby Gems website. The team maintaining Ruby Gems removed all the infected packages. It took 4 days for them to re-enable account generation, now with improved rate limiting on account creation and WAF protection. A difference between this and other software supply chain attacks is what the attackers were aiming to get. As the Ruby team was working on fighting off the attack, one maintainer, Marsage Mansfield, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, made a statement on Twitter. The target wasn't end users, it was Ruby Gems itself, XSS, data exfiltration. But at the same time, there was other chaos happening in the JavaScript ecosystem. Shai-Hulud is back and more chaotic than ever, this instance dubbed Mini Shai-Hulud. On May 11th, Socket reported that 84 packages in the TanStack NPM namespace were packages that were compromised by the Mini Shai-Hulud attack. The attacker forked the TanStack/router package, pushed a malicious commit, and opened a PR against the main TanStack router package. The attacker then attempted multiple force pushes to eventually get one of the PRs to stick. On May 11th, 2026, between 1920 and 1926 UTC, an attacker published 84 malicious versions across 42 TanStack NPM packages by combining the pull request target pwn request pattern, GitHub Actions cache poisoning across the fork-based trust boundary, and runtime memory extraction of an OIDC token from the GitHub Actions runner process. No NPM tokens were stolen, and the NPM publish workflow itself was not compromised. This instance of Mini Shai-Hulud didn't stop at the TanStack NPM ecosystem. Minstrel AI, Guardrails AI, OpenSearch, UiPath, and many others were also hit. The team at Akudo Security detected 373 packages affected across a total of 169 namespaces. For the cybersecurity practitioner, this worm is not fun, but Team PCP is having a lot of fun. Personally, I am loving the whimsy here. It feels like hackers and bad actors have lost their whimsy with large-scale attacks, but Team PCP is having so much fun with it. One way they're implementing whimsy that I haven't seen many talk about is the geographic computer sniping. Well, actually, there are two versions of computer killing happening. The first one checks if the GitHub tokens are still active. The team at JFrog did a great job describing the functionality. The payload implements a destructive GitHub token monitor that functions as a dead man switch. It installs the monitor script under .local/bin and achieves persistence via a Linux systemd user service or Mac OS launch agent. The monitor then pulls api.github.com/user every 60 seconds using a stolen GitHub token. If the API returns any 40x response indicating the token has been revoked, the monitor executes a configured handler, which in this variant decodes to RF. Consequently, defenders must prioritize host isolation and persistence removal before initiating the revocation of exposed GitHub tokens. But the geographic one I mentioned is the interesting one. The team at upwind.io did a full deobfuscation of everything happening with this instance of the mini Shai-Hulud worm and discovered this geographic kill switch. There is a file called roulette.py that inspects things like time zones, languages, geographic tags of the system, and more through directly reading things like the time zone database. Roulette.py will roll a random number 1 through 6. If the system is identified to be located in their specified targeted regions and the RNG happens to roll a 2, the worm will force the system to play a song at full volume and then RF the entire system. Whimsy! I love it! Team PCP did not stop their whimsy at the implementation level either. Seeing the success of the chaos caused by their mini Shai-Hulud worm, they made it into a little competition. They open sourced the mini Shai-Hulud worm, and in partnership with Breach Forums, they teamed up to give away 1,000 USD, in the form of crypto of course, to whoever carries out the largest supply chain attack. They must use this new mini Shai-Hulud worm in the attack, and the winner will be judged by tallying up all of the weekly and monthly downloads of all the packages they infiltrate. Again, high whimsy with this one, and I love it. I love the chaos. It's so fun. Fallout of this attack has affected literally everyone, including OpenAI. 2 OpenAI employees were found to have had the worm on their system. In response, they literally had to roll out updates to signing certificates for all of their Windows, iOS, and macOS products. So yeah, we know software supply chain attacks are on the rise, and the JavaScript ecosystem is at the top of the priorities. I have been fascinated with this for years, as we all know, and I've never stopped covering it. And honestly, let's be real, this makes a lot of sense. In the past decade, I've watched and we've watched as the entire software industry has grown a high reliance on JavaScript, adding capabilities of writing front-end and back-end code using a language that was only really meant to handle so many things and was first originally written in 5 days, 6 days, I don't remember, a short amount of time. And now we are seeing the damage of having a high reliance on one ecosystem. NPM has become a point of vulnerability and failure in software, and engineers continue to allow AI to download packages unchecked with no stopping at their privilege. And engineers are becoming the entry point of failure and attack. BSides news. A new vulnerability was discovered in Nginx, which went unfound for 15 years. The vulnerability CVE 2026-42945 has a CVSS score of 9.2 and allows for RCE or DOS through well-crafted requests. The vulnerability is called Nginx Rift. An engineer at Atlassian was laid off. In response, he published a 40-minute video going through the internals and infrastructure of how Atlassian works. Linked below. The FCC is pulling back on its foreign-made router ban and now allowing router vendors to continue to publish software and firmware updates to devices already in the hands of the public of the US people. The Linux kernel has published new rules around security bug qualifications. All bugs found by AI are to be treated as public. Assume others have discovered it, and it's known by many, because this has been a pattern that they found for AI-discovered bugs. Hackers use stolen GitHub tokens to steal the entire Grafana codebase. Apple has finally decided to play nice with the rest of the messaging world. Interest in encrypted messaging has become a point of public popularity, with increase in interest in messaging platforms like WhatsApp and Signal to communicate with peers and friends. Apps like Signal and WhatsApp filled that gap, a gap between Android and iOS. In the green versus blue debate bubble, Apple probably wasn't playing nice as Apple usually does. The green versus blue debate got assuaged with the introduction of Rich Communication Services, or RCS. Reaction features and other things that made iMessage appealing to many were introduced to be cross-platform compatible. In continuing to improve the RCS ecosystem and replace traditional SMS with a more secure alternative, Apple has introduced end-to-end encryption support for RCS. This will be part of iOS 26.5. The rollout of support for end-to-end encryption support of iOS and RCS also is dependent on the mobile carrier and Android users' version of Google Messages. As mentioned earlier, we have seen a move towards interest in secure messaging. Meta recently announced the removal of end-to-end encrypted messaging on Instagram, but as I said in that episode, those who knew what end-to-end encrypted messaging or required it was probably weren't using it to talk on Instagram. Apple originally began testing end-to-end encrypted messaging with RCS at the release of iOS 26.4 beta, and only for messages sent between Apple devices. Now it looks like end-to-end encrypted messaging will become the default state for RCS messaging, which is exciting. Thank you so much for watching ThreatWire for the week of May 18th, 2026. If you enjoyed this show, please be sure to head over to our Patreon and follow us over there and subscribe to support the show. But more importantly, last week, we did hit 1 million subscribers here on YouTube. So thank you all so much for really turning out and continuing to support the Hack5 community and the Hack5 channel over the 21 plus years that Hack5 has been around. One of the things that we definitely want to see happen over the next year as we continue to grow into this 1 million subscribers is to see the viewer base and viewership of Hack5 and our videos continue to increase. So if you enjoyed the show and know other people who are interested in seeing more commentary and conversation around cybersecurity, please be sure to come back to Hack5 and tell them to come back and check it out. In addition, if you want to see me do more commentary and conversations around tech in general, be sure to head over to follow me over on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me everywhere online at Ending with Ali. And remember, good luck, have fun, and don't get caught.